What's up, movie freaks? Welcome to episode 4 of Film Discussion. I'm Vilcams, the original movie freak, and today we're talking about Funny Games, filmed by Michael Haneke,
1997 version.
1997, the original. I have with me here today.
Firmin Tespian. Hello.
And I am the Metal Gladiator. And you could just call me Ian if you like, but it's not as cool as the name.
Not as fun.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
Before we jump completely into this discussion, our film discussion episodes are spoiler discussions, reviews. Like, we're going to get into everything about the movie. We are not. It's a spoiler talk. So go watch the movie and then come back. Don't even exit out though. Like, new tab or something. Go watch it and then come right back and then watch this.
It's on HBO Max.
It is on HBO Max.
As of recording this, it is on HBO Max.
Yes.
If we did spoiler free, it'd be like a 10-minute video.
Yeah, the spoiler free is what the movie freaks quick thoughts are for. When we do film discussion, it's all spoiler talk. So you have been warned.
Yes.
So right off the bat, I want to know just like a general, what you guys think about it. Because I've seen this movie a lot more than you guys, and have known about it for longer, and like, I love this movie.
Yeah, I thought I had seen this movie, or I couldn't remember if I had seen this one or the American version of it. But watching it, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it because all the clips that I remembered were from YMS. Your Movie Sucks. His video talk about it. Those were the only clips I had seen, which were a pretty good chunk of the movie, if we're being honest. Yeah. I don't remember where he talked about it, though. I don't know if he did a full video on it or if he talked about it in one of his... I don't remember. But anyway...
top 10 lists or something, maybe?
Yeah.
But if any of you are familiar with YMS, or Your Movie Sucks on YouTube, Michael Haneke is his favorite director.
Yes, and I can with this one movie, I can see why. He is fantastic. Not only as a director but as a writer, because he also wrote it. Just the layering and the structure of it just flowed so well and so naturally. It was really well done, because you can see stuff's already happening off screen, and you can tell that the world is actually happening off screen before it starts happening, before the events of the movie actually start happening. And that's something that I really appreciate, because it doesn't feel confined to one little thing, and that the whole world exists on the screen. Whatever you see is what it's actually there. It's it feels like the world that we live in. I think that's probably one of the strongest points of this, is it feels so real, which makes it that much more disturbing. It gets into the nitty gritty of what the funny games are, which are not funny at all.
Yeah, this is a film that is on a lot of people's lists of like most disturbing films ever, kind of thing.
Yeah, which I'm sure you guys have seen more disturbing films, but
I've seen
I can name a few.
The most disturbing of films. What's funny about that aspect of it, the disturbing factor, is like there's almost no violence shown on screen.
Yeah. All the violence mostly happens off screen.
Right, and which is also funny because it's such a like a critique or a reflection on violent movies.
Yeah.
And like in some ways like surpasses a lot of them in its
Yeah.
disturbing factor by showing nothing.
Yeah. There are a lot of movies out there that will just go all out on gore and stuff, and you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
But then this movie has all the violence and stuff happens off screen, and you just feel disgusting. You feel awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of that could be a compliment to the actors of how
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah,
the
I
actors
never.
are. Casting was fantastic.
I think even the child actor, the kid in the movie, he did a fantastic job, but he was the only one that I could tell was acting.
Mm.
But the other four, and even like the people who show up for a minute or less,
Yeah.
even they felt natural and real.
Mm-hmm.
But especially the mom and the dad, like they were so good.
Yes, and Hanukkah has worked with them like a lot. Like they're in several of his movies. They were a couple in real life. And
Okay.
so like some of those like scenes where they're really getting, into it and emotional, like you can just kind of it just feels real because to a sense it is.
Yeah.
So
I feel it definitely if this movie didn't feel as real as it did, if the acting wasn't as good or the direction of the violence, if it went just a little too over the top or not hard enough, then the whole movie would fall flat because I feel like the whole reason this movie succeeds at making you feel terrible at these horrendous things that are happening is for the fact that it feels real and it feels like it could have happened in real life.
yeah. I can't remember some website or there was some article or something about like top like horror movies that could happen in real life, and this movie was the number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure if you do some digging, you could probably find cases that are actually very similar.
Probably.
You'd be surprised. I've heard about
People are sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you have any other initial thoughts, Ian, on just like what you think of this movie?
Like overall, kind
Yeah,
of.
just like your basic like what you
Introduction.
thought of the movie.
I mean, I've only seen it once, and I know my eyes are going to be open to some things because I know you were watching some interviews with like director and stuff earlier today.
Yeah.
So my eyes are gonna kind of like with The Wish when you were talking about a lot of other things. I started appreciating it more, so I kind of do feel like I started to feel like saw it a couple times. Well, with The Wish, it was a couple times.
Yeah.
So that's gonna happen too. But I do feel like I've got a decent enough grasp on the film as a whole. I don't claim to be some amazing critique analyst or anything when it comes to film,
Yeah.
but I understand it's an art form, and this is definitely a strong representation of an art film. And the one thing that always kind of sticks out to me with art films, how to categorize art films, is the cinematography. And I kind of feel like that this is something that's
The cinematography for this movie was beautiful.
yes. I kind of feel like it's something very hard to do
Yes.
because in a simple point of view, it seems like artistic shots are just like show everything like long shots or something, but that's not the case at all.
This one is very beautiful while also being very simple. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing like,
Yeah.
I mean, sure, there's a couple of, there is one scene that the cinematography is a little complicated from a technical standpoint, but like for the most part, it's pretty simply
Yeah.
shot. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
very, very well
And,
shot.
and
Yeah.
and the fact that you got a decent amount of one shotters, one in particular, after spoilers, the son dies. But like it's
Yeah.
just
That
beautiful.
scene was so powerful,
Yeah.
and it's just because that was something. That's something that I wanted to bring up. The sound. What do you call it?
Like
My
sound
goodness, sound design. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word design for some reason. Sound design was really good because you hear this guy's turning. The guy turns on the TV. Then the other guy comes back with the kid and sets him down. And is like, do that one game, and then walks away to go get some food. Then you hear a gunshot, and then the woman scream, and then you just see the TV with blood on it, and them talk. You can hear them talking in the background, and then they walk away. They leave, and then they're just sitting there, and you see the boy's body on the ground and blood on the wall and on the TV and everything, and just you hear NASCAR.
Yeah.
It's not NASCAR because it's Germany, but essentially NASCAR. It's
Basically, Japanese
racing.
version of NASCAR. Yeah.
Yeah, it's racing on the TV, and it's just going and going, and it's just this noise, and it's overpowering and overwhelming, and you're just sitting there, and the parents are both sitting there like distraught because they just watched their son get shot,
Hmm.
and he's laying there on the floor, and the TV's just going and going, and it just feels overwhelming, especially for someone who I get overwhelmed by sound a lot very easily, and just I started to get annoyed by the TV that was on because it was just so overwhelming. And then she goes over there and turns the TV off and sits there for I don't know how long,
Yeah.
but you can just with her body language and just it being after the noise of the TV is turned off, you just sit there in silence, and it's
Hmm.
it's very powerful. I really enjoyed that scene.
It goes on for like I think a little over 10 minutes. That
Yeah.
scene. Um, that's something too I really appreciate about the way he films things, and you'll see this a lot more in a lot of other more artistic from more artistic filmmakers and stuff. But sometimes like by like American like Hollywood standard, like some of these shots are they go on for too long, right? Like
Yeah.
nothing's happening, but really, it really just when the shot just hangs, it really lets you take everything in,
Yeah.
and it's just so true for this scene. Like
Yeah.
it just you feel it.
If that had been on a different scene, it wouldn't have worked.
You know.
But the fact that and I think the build up to it also helped. Because if you had seen the kid get shot, and it was like kind of over the top and kind of
Yeah.
done in a way that where like he gets pulled on like some wires or something and gets,
Yeah.
and then it probably wouldn't work as well.
Right.
But having it done off screen and then having the guys argue, and then with the whole sound design of the cars on the TV
Yeah.
and all that white noise and all that noise, letting you sit with it, it was so well done.
And then you just hang there on the aftermath of it.
Yeah.
And they attempted that take 3 times. The first take, Hanukkah said that the first take was good, but he suggested that they try it once more, right? And they
Mhm.
start doing, but after like a few minutes, he could just tell that they were like losing energy and they were just like worn down. So they cut early, took a break, and he left the two alone for a while. Said, "Y'all take as long as you need. We'll be upstairs. Come up when you're ready. Could be 5 minutes, could be 30 minutes, whatever. Whenever y'all are ready, you come up, and we'll just be waiting up there." And I don't remember how long it was, but then they finally came up, and then the third take is the one that's in the movie.
I love that
Yeah.
because there are some directors out there who there are some directors who would take the first one. They'd be like, that was good, we'll just use that one. And then there are some directors who would just run the actors to death
Stanley
trying
Kubrick.
to get the shot.
Yeah.
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 And take that shot like 100 times until they felt like they had it in one of those 100. But I think letting your actors take the time that they need, because that's a really emotional scene,
Yeah.
and
So he just let
taking-
them like be by themselves so that they could get like in the space that they needed to be for it, and it was just like, we'll be there. Y'all come up when you're ready. and then we'll film it."
that is a great decision from the director, and that just boosts my respect for Mikhail Haneke.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and
That-
apparently that's what was really needed too, because that's the cut that was in the film. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like during that scene, the father has like just a breakdown.
yeah.
One of the most real breakdowns I have ever seen in a movie.
Right.
Like he's choking on his own crying.
Yeah.
Ugh. Like I was scared the guy was gonna choke to death from how much he was, because I know he's faking it, and I feel like just the way he was choking, I was like, is this guy gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Please
Like-
don't choke.
Yeah, and it really didn't seem like your normal like movie crying.
Yeah,
or grieving,
it was-
like
it
at
was-
all, but it felt so real.
Yeah,
Like
it
literally,
was.
he can't like control what's going on because he's just
Yeah.
like, in that just that state. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was extremely emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a decent handful of actors that can pull off like actual crying or grief, like realistically.
Yeah, it's
And
one
now
of the
he's
most
on the
difficult
list for me,
things.
so.
Yeah.
Speaking of crying as well, something the mom there, I forget her name, Suzanne something, I think.
Suzanne Lothar.
Yes, Suzanne Lothar. She apparently for a couple of those scenes would like get herself like crying for like 20 minutes before the take, because that's what especially the one where she I think when she's like towards the end, when she's like really defeated and just like looks exhausted and stuff, like she had been like made herself cry for like 20 minutes before the take. And then
Yeah.
there was one or two of those where they did the take like a lot, so that by the last take she was like just like exhausted, and it's like that was the that was what that particular shot required.
Yeah, because that's another thing. The makeup was really well done, and just the consistency of it, because I could tell there was a progression to her.
Yeah.
Because by the beginning of the movie, she looks, fine. Because nothing. They're having a day. They're out. They just got there or whatever. She looks fine. Then the stuff starts to happen. She gets upset, and then she starts crying a little bit because, it's a stressful situation.
Yeah.
But by the end of the movie, she is a mess.
Yeah.
And I never felt, I could never tell that there was some inconsistencies with her makeup. And I feel like other movies would have still tried to make her look pretty at some,
Yeah.
like they would have made it look like she was crying and everything, but they still would have like tried to make her look
She's
pretty.
been through a lot, but don't make her look too bad, all right? This is still Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, she was a mess.
Yeah.
And I think they did a really good job of keeping that. And that kind of makes me wonder if they filmed it in order because of how well it was, kept up.
I know. Interview on the Criterion Collection Blu-ray. Arno Frisch, the actor who played Paul, like main bad guy there.
Yeah.
He said they did all the outside shots first. They spent like a week doing outside shots. But then the rest of the movie was in a studio. So,
I can see that.
So there's stuff at the beginning and at the end that's filmed outside. So I guess they probably would have filmed all of that first, and then they did everything inside the house was in a studio. So they actually, when talking about that, he talked that they actually on the test sail on the boat at first they sunk the boat.
Oh, wow.
When doing a test shot or whatever, and like Hanukkah and everybody was on the boat with the camera, and they were trying to, the emergency divers were trying to save the camera, and they ruined the brand new camera.
Oh no.
So
That was...
good thing they had emergency divers right beside them.
Yeah.
They also talked about how doing that scene on the boat, they're really on a boat, and like she's really tied. He said he called them like magical knots or something, so it's like something that she could get undone. But like so she's
really like
tied, and they
really tied, had duct tape around her mouth and everything.
They really tip her over the boat, and then there was just a boat with emergency divers right beside them. They tip her and then they dive in and get her. But like
yeah, I was wondering how they did that, because I was like,
scary.
Yeah, and I've seen. I follow this guy on TikTok who does who's like a prop master for a bunch of stuff, and he like shows how a lot of movies do props and stuff. And whenever they have duct tape, they put, I can't remember what they put on it, but they put something on it so that way it comes off and it still sticks, and it comes off, but it doesn't rip skin or rip hair out of you. So it doesn't hurt the actor. So they probably had that on it as well.
Probably, yeah.
It also comes off easier because obviously there's something on the back of it, so it doesn't stick as well.
Yeah.
So she probably was able to get out of it really easy, but still, that's scary.
Yeah. That's a scary thing to do. But
just adds to the realism we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and too, like, it does feel really real, especially for the majority of the movie being in a studio. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. It's like that was a well-built studio that could actually look
that
like
the set
house
is
that they
well.
were in.
yeah.
That set is definitely a really well done set, and the guy who played Paul is terrifying.
He's so good.
He's so scary.
He was also another film from Mikhail Haneke, I think his second film. So several years before, I think 92, 93, something like that. He was in a movie for Mikhail Haneke called Benny's Video. And in that movie, the dad in this movie, Ulrich, is it Ulrich Müller or something? He plays he plays Benny's dad in Benny's Video. And so when they had like first met up or whatever their first meeting was on this film or whatever, like the first thing that Ulrich said to Arno was Benny's revenge. Pretty funny.
Wow.
should definitely check out Benny's video too
It-
if you can watch it.
What was
anyway.
the other guy's name? Was it Peter?
Peter? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name because Paul always called him Tubby. So
Fatty.
Fatty, Tubby, whatever.
Yeah.
Call me fatty.
But yeah, Peter. He was really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Paul was definitely the mastermind, and it felt like he was the one who wanted to do it more than Peter was. Peter was there, but he got a lot more emotional about things than
Right.
Paul did.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be able to do it without Paul, but Paul could definitely do it on his own without Peter.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. The one thing I liked about this film was the beginning of how, because obviously I wasn't going in completely blind. I knew the premise of the whole thing.
Yeah,
So with that first shot of them like talking to their neighbors there with those two golfers, I kind of understood like, and then with the whole borrowing the eggs and stuff, that was so awesome. I love that part.
yeah.
because the fact
That's the part that I was talking about. That I
prolongs
felt
it, and they just
Yeah.
that's the part that I was talking about that made the world felt lived in and that it was real because like you see they come up to their neighbor and then they talk to him for a little bit and their neighbors are there and they're talking to these people and then you find out that those people were doing the same thing to them
Yeah.
as they were doing to this family.
Yeah.
and then at the end, they go to the other
They
place.
go to the next people. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it
I-
was literally the
Yeah.
same situation. Paul was with the mom, and then someone else, came up, and so they saw him. So that when they go up to there, they've already seen him. Same exact situation as the
Yeah.
beginning of the film.
So they can wiggle their way in a little bit better because now that they know who they are and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's too
And-
like that is helped by the fact too that this is kind of like a more. These are rich people in Austria.
Yeah.
These are their weekend vacation homes, like
Yeah.
so they're all kind of just like they're in a safe place and they all know each other, and then so
Yeah.
they're guarding down.
And those kids, and they're definitely kids. They've got to be like somewhere in there, like somewhere between 18 or 21. I would put them probably. They definitely feel like they also come from wealth.
Yeah.
And I think they say something about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Because Paul is talking about how Peter was like he wasn't well off. He puts on that he is, but then immediately is like, that's all a lie.
Yeah.
All of that was a lie. You probably figured that out, but it was all a lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't feel out of place when they go up to these people and ask for eggs or talk to them. They feel like they should be there.
Right.
And I feel like that's definitely part of one way that they can weasel their way into these houses is they come from wealth, so they know how to act around people with wealth.
Yeah. And Hanukkah talked a little bit about he doesn't always say like American movies, but you can tell that's usually what he's talking about, like American movies. But he talked about how so often movies make their villain, have you got this sympathy or whatever it is, they love to make people feel sympathetic for villains. So like he's like, I could have gone with the cliche and made, these two are poor and they're, doing whatever to the rich and they're, getting back or whatever, and you could to a sense feel sorry for them. But he was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do the cliche. He's like, it's gonna be like they're coming from the same class. They're just evil. Evil is just
Yeah. They're Yeah, they're messed up, and yeah, it still felt real and natural for them to be.
Yeah.
Like I don't really need to know their backstory.
Right.
I don't need to know anything about them because this is the moment that they're that we're seeing, and they're in this moment they're just evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your all's take on the the most stereotypical metal music at the beginning of the movie? Like this is what people who don't listen to metal think of when someone mentions metal.
Hold on. I want to go back to the villain.
That's what I meant by stereotypical. I don't like
Yeah.
not to offend anybody out there.
I want to go back to the metal thing, the villain thing.
Okay.
I just want to say that I appreciate a well fleshed out villain, like
Me too.
sympathetic and stuff, when done right.
Yeah. And also it does depend on the type of story that you're trying to tell.
Yes.
Because like in Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, the whole point of that is good versus evil. So having a sympathetic villain would feel very out of place.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate. I may get some controversy from this, but I kind of feel like I need to get this off my chest. I hate the comparison from Thanos to Darth Vader. I hate that comparison.
There's a comparison.
I've heard some people make that comparison. Vader is a very well-written villain, and at least judging from the movies, I don't really. I like Thanos, but I kind of don't at the same time. So that's kind of like me understanding Mikhail Haneke's like direction into that. It's like, hey, you can have a villain that's just straight up evil.
And I think too, like
Most of those villains are just awesome anyway.
yeah. Too, I think what
Yeah.
Hanukkah was getting at was kind of the same thing that like that Stephen He video makes fun of when he's making fun of
Yeah.
villains, modern villains. It's
Yes.
like they always have to have something that lets you know they're
Oh, I know.
doing whatever
Yeah.
right type of thing. So yeah, I don't think
'Cause
Hanukkah
even-
believes
even
100%
with-
that you just can't have any sympathy.
But even with like Darth Vader, like they did try and flesh him out a little bit to make him more sympathetic with the prequels, but
Yeah. I mean, in an overall sense, Star Wars is about the tragedy of Darth Vader. All this stuff happens in the prequels. He falls in love, blah blah blah. He tries to save her, fails in his own delusional way, and all this, and kills slaughters thousands, and becomes a villain. Luke still thinks there's good in him, all that, and then he kind of redeems himself at the end. I hate it hearing people compare that to a guy who thinks half the population on the planet should die so that the other half doesn't have to suffer. That's just stupid. I'm sorry, but Thanos is not right. I hate people saying that. He's delusional. He's not that way.
he's evil, so clearly,
He's
but there are
evil.
other options that he could have gone, but he's evil.
He's evil.
Yeah. But anyway,
sorry,
back to
but-
funny games.
Yes, back to Funny Game. You mentioned villains and how that quote from Hanukkah made me think of that, so I had to get off my chest.
Gotcha.
It was relevant, I promise.
So the metal,
Um,
the metal.
Yeah, metal.
Yes.
At the very beginning, somewhere in the middle, and at the very end.
I mean, I don't think that. I don't honestly think that. I mean, Hanukkah's old. Like even when he made this movie, he was old.
Yeah.
But he's such a smart guy. I don't think that that's what he thinks all metal is.
Yeah.
I think it was just such a
Just jarring.
like, yeah, you've got the rich family on their way to their weekend home playing classical music, like just uppity uppity, right? And
Yeah.
then, well, something bad is about to happen to them, and so you have that music kick in the middle of that classical music
Yeah.
for the title. And apart from that title, Ian picked up on this. Apart from the title sequence, there is no music in the movie apart from what happens in world.
And I appreciate that so much. So many horror films and films of this nature
I
rely so
wow.
much on suspenseful music, but this
What?
movie can build suspense easily. I love it.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
no music.
That makes me think of the Birds. The Birds did that too. There's a title sequence, there's kids singing in a schoolhouse, and I think that's about it.
Now, obviously, they were playing music in the car.
Yeah.
When Paul is chasing the kid, he plays that metal song, but he puts it in
Yeah.
like it's playing in world.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
And
why,
yeah, I think
too, and that's probably why
Yeah.
the sounds stick out so much.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I do remember there not
Sure.
being any music for that one scene that we were talking about because
yeah,
the noise of the TV, and then she turns it off and she just sits in silence.
yeah,
Because music would have ruined that scene.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe not ruined, but it wouldn't have been as powerful
yeah,
for sure
It would've
if they had
just
played
been
music.
a typical scene.
Yeah, and it also probably would have felt longer if
Yeah.
they had played music over it. But
Right.
what I had taken from it is, they're playing classical music and everything, and then out of nowhere it plays that music that's just really loud, really obnoxious, and so jarring from the what they were listening to. It kind of made me feel like something bad's about to happen. Like this is their life's going to be flipped over on its head.
Right.
And I think that's essentially what that music is there for. Because the only other two times that it happens is when he's chasing the kid, and at the very end when you're like, oh, he's going to do it again. They're about to do the same thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that
Placement of it.
that music was intentional,
Yeah.
and I think
They were-
it was intentionally supposed to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love it. I thought it was a very fitting theme.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you basically got to call it the Funny Games theme, because there's nothing else for it. But, like, it's very fitting and very.
But yeah, that's what
Yeah.
people think of when you say. Well, that's what non-metal listeners think of when you say
Metal.
metal.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like metal. That's what they're thinking of.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there is something that we haven't touched on at all that we need to talk about, and that's that Paul has control over. I don't know. He's omniscient or something.
Yeah.
Like
Fourth wall breaking.
he's completely aware that it's a movie, and it seems like he's the only one.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The first shot when he did it, he just kind of like
Turn
panned to the camera. and
Yeah.
Just like,
He looks at the
winks.
camera. You're on their side, aren't you? Do you think they'll last?
The first time he just winks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
when the-
yeah.
when the
Yeah,
girl
that's
went
right.
for the dog.
Hanukkah said
was-
he was trying to build it up. So the first time it's real subtle. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's noticeable, but then it's not enough
You're just like-
of a fourth wall break to where people
Yeah, you're
are
just like,
oh,
did
he's
he-
breaking the fourth wall. They're like, wait, did he just wink at me?
Did he?
Is he winking at someone off camera? Like, what is that? And then it waits
Yeah,
a while.
someone
before it
might.
does it
Someone
again.
I wonder. I bet some people thought it was a mistake at first that he
Maybe.
was winking at someone off camera or winking at the camera, and they weren't supposed to leave it in. They left it in.
I thought it was a great way because I knew there was fourth wall breaks. I didn't know to what extent.
Yeah,
We'll get into that in a second, but I love the fact that he kind of throwing.
and I think it is kind
very
of
close.
back to what you were saying, William, about how it goes back to a commentary on violent movies of the time and still now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, because some of the stuff that he's, it's like Paul's whole thing is like, I'm making a violent movie. I've got to do this stuff and that stuff because that's what people want. That's what the audience wants
Yeah.
to see. And the part two with the remote. What's funny is like this movie is a commentary on violent film and how we process it or react to it or are desensitized by it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's also funny that people find this one really disturbing when they don't show any of the violence. When
Yeah.
they're so desensitized to seeing the violence, it's almost like not seeing it is almost what like triggers something. But then like so when she shoots Peter and Hanukkah says in the theaters during premieres and stuff, people cheered during that moment. And for
Yeah.
Hanukkah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, for Hanukkah, that was like a got him moment. Because
Mhm.
at that point, obviously we know when we're watching a movie, right? But
Yeah.
also by that point, the movie had let you know that you're watching a movie.
Yep.
And you're still falling into those same tropes. Oh, I'm supposed to root for them. I'm supposed to cheer when the good guys kill the bad guys. And then, obviously it was just crushed.
Yeah.
But-
Immediately.
yeah.
Where's the remote? Rewinds it.
Yeah, but for Hanukkah, like having people cheer for somebody dying in a movie that's a commentary about violent movies and how we react to them was like all that he needed, really. Like that
Yeah.
was just
Add to that,
I
to
did
that.
something right. What I was
Yeah,
trying
to
to
add
do,
to that.
I accomplished.
That's the only time that an actual violent scene is on screen.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah, that's the one part that it does like show
Yep.
it on screen.
hmm
Which I thought.
Um.
I gotta be honest, I kind of fell for it too. I obviously
I
wasn't
did
sure
too.
when it was silent. I mean, you were
Yeah, I was
sitting
like,
in
oh,
the room
thank
with me.
goodness. And then he rewinded. I was like, oh, gosh darn
And
it.
then that happened, and then he's looking for a remote, and I was like, remote? And then he starts rewinding. Instead of probably the normal reaction to audience being like, what the heck? I was like, I just thought it was cool. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You don't see that in films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had known that was a thing before. I had just completely forgotten about it until he grabbed it and rewound it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, dang it!"
Yeah.
And also, the other thing is, I couldn't remember if I had before or how it ended. So I was convinced that one of them was going to get away. One of them was going to live, and one of them was going to get away, and the bad guys, these evil kids, were going to not get away with it. But nope, they did, and the whole family died, and I was like,
Yeah. So was the previous
oh.
family, and the next family too. I was the next family after.
There was one scene that bothered me at first, until I really started thinking about it. And that's the scene where the kid runs away, where he gets away and he runs away to the neighbor's house.
Hmm.
And the reason that bothered me was because he ran upstairs and then climbed out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Paul knew that he ran upstairs because he could hear him, because those stairs were loud.
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering how he was able to follow him out the window, through the lake, up to the neighbor's house. Like, I was like, how would he know that?
Hmm.
And then the kid just didn't hide. And I was like, well, maybe it's because he's a kid, and kids, like, if I were his age and I were in that situation, I would probably be moving around a lot. I probably wouldn't want to hide in one place. I'd be too afraid to stay in one place.
Yeah. The kid
Um,
was pretty smart to like not just run straight out the door, make it
Yeah.
seem like he was hiding up front, but then go upstairs. But then too, like he was trying to climb over the gate for a couple of minutes. Like
yeah,
Paul might have looked out the window and seen him trying to climb over the gate or
yeah.
something. I don't know.
But then I thought about it after the fact, and I was like, well, this guy can break the fourth wall. So what if
Yeah.
he knows everything that's on screen? If it's
Mm.
shown on screen, what if he knows about it? And that way, that's how he knew that he went around the
Through the
fence,
water.
through the lake, and then walked up to the house. And if he had hid, he would know where he was, because the camera obviously would have showed it.
Right.
And so that kind of made me. That's still kind of reaching, I think, but
Hmm.
that's really my only problem with the movie. Is like that felt a little.
That could be why he
But-
he may have known
but I-
that the kid didn't load the gun either.
Yeah. There are a few times where I'm like, how would he know that? And it was like, well, it was shown on screen, and he can break the fourth wall, so he might be able to tell. He might be able to know.
Yeah.
That honestly could have been Haneka's intention with it too.
Yeah,
Because of
that's really the only thing that saved that scene for me, was my realization of that. Because otherwise, I'd be like,
the point though.
okay, sure.
I'd have to agree with that. I think that's a good point.
Could be. I like too how Paul and Peter call each other different names throughout the film.
Hi,
Like,
Beavis. Hi, Butthead.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead, Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Like, Tom and Jerry, obviously a pretty violent cartoon that's like, for
Yeah,
kids and stuff. So I think that was intentional.
yeah,
Another thing too about that is that Haneke told he told the actors, he told the family, basically, like, you're acting in a drama, like a serious drama, and told the other two that, like, you're acting in a farce, he called it, and said, don't play off of the other one's emotions. You play in your bit, and you play in your bit. That's how you need to act this, which I thought was interesting.
yeah,
Because he didn't want that. I don't know. It would have broken that sense of just they're just evil and having fun with all this. Because if they were playing off of the family's acting, like, they might have gotten, like, you might have seen hints of, like, sympathy and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
Something. It wouldn't have worked like it worked.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
is-
they definitely, especially Paul, felt like he was just having fun,
Yeah.
which is why it felt so dark and so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I posted the my review rating on IMDb, one of my friends texted me and was like, "Oh, is that really effed up movie that I heard about?" And I was like, "Yes,
Yes.
that's it."
That's the one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I almost gave it a lower rating because I was just the whole movie I was uncomfortable. But by the end of it, I was like, oh, but it was so well done, and it didn't make me. It made me feel disgusted at it,
Yeah.
and the fact that I felt disgusted, I think, proves that it did its job well. Because like if I was like, oh, this is just a fun horror movie, then I think Mikhail Haneke would have failed at what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I was kind of afraid when I posted that, and my friend texted me, is that effed up movie that I heard about? I was afraid when I said yes, he was going to reply with, wow, you must be really effed up if you enjoyed that much.
You sick bastard.
You loved this movie and it's terrible and effed up? What's wrong with you?
You like that movie?
I mean, I get that plenty.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not because
Right.
I'm emotionless. It's because I think that's what the movie was trying to do. The movie was trying to make you feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and me feeling uncomfortable means that it did its job really well.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's probably why it doesn't have an amazing rating on IMDb, is because people were like, well,
yeah.
I felt terrible, so the movie is terrible.
You watch
Yeah.
any interview from Haneke on this film, and he's going to tell you about, like, the people walking out of the at premieres and stuff, which I guess is something he's pretty used to for his movies, but
Yeah.
for this one, like, some of it I think was, the violent and disturbing content, but, like, it sounded like some of it was to do with the fourth wall breaks. Like, people were mad that the movie would think that they were so stupid that it had to remind them that they're watching a movie. And
Yeah.
Hanukkah's just like,
No, I get
"You
that.
missed it."
There was a a play that I had to read. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian.
I don't feel like that's well, at least in this sense, and well, a lot of fourth wall breaks that I can think of are like comedic purposes and stylistic choices,
Yeah.
including this one. So I don't feel like
Yeah,
insulting intelligence of the audience
I
is the
don't-
purpose of a fourth wall break.
yeah. I don't
I
think
always-
Hanukkah
I
at all.
welcome fourth wall breaks. I think
Yeah.
when done right, they could be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think Hanukkah at all was trying to be like, oh, don't forget you're watching a movie. It was more
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like a reflection on, like, how we react and how we feel about such violent movies.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it was more to point towards that and get you thinking about, like, oh, like, I watched all these violent movies, like, we desensitize this and that, and we cheer for when this villain is killed, but it's, like, actually a horrific thing, but, like,
Yeah.
as long as
That's still
a movie has
person
emotionally
dying.
swayed us to think that that's the good thing, then that's what we think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I can understand why people would not be would be upset at that, because I had to read this play for school one time called How I Learned to Drive, and the play is about incest and pedophilia, but the whole play is like reminding you that it's a play, and that's like a style of theater. It's not like there are several plays written that way to just remind you because of the topic. Usually, it's a style of theater. But I didn't enjoy it mainly because for me, I prefer to be immersed in things, and I feel like the emotional weight of what was happening would have hit more had it not kept reminding me that it was a play. Like it used different tactics and tools to remind you, hey, this is a play. By the way, this isn't real. You're fine.
Yeah.
This terrible thing that's happening is not real.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it because I didn't like constantly being reminded that I was reading a play. Because I can kind of understand where they were coming from, like, because it made me feel stupid. It made me feel like I needed to be reminded in order to understand what terrible things were happening. Whereas I know these terrible things happen in real life, so. But I do understand that some people kind of need that in order to be. But for me personally, I just didn't enjoy being constantly reminded. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many fourth wall breaks were there? Like 5? I feel like
I would have said 3 because the wink. No, 4, maybe. Because he winked at the camera.
And then there's
the end.
You're rooting for them, right? And then there's we're not up to
remote.
feature film length yet.
Oh yeah.
And then
That's
the
right.
remote. So I think 4 or well.
Does he do one at the end?
Yeah, there's I think a wink
Yeah.
at the end too.
I think a wink, but he
5.
just looks at the camera.
Yeah, maybe he just looks at the camera.
Yeah. He looks at the camera and it freezes on
Smiles,
his face.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts on the ending dialogue between the two after they push her in the lake.
I was gonna bring that up too. I really liked it.
I don't know. Probably not.
One thing that I remember him saying, they were like talking about philosophy and stuff. And one of the things that I picked up on that stuck with me was if it happens in a movie, then it actually happens, or something like that, along those lines.
Yeah, because the one guy was talking about like a book or something. I can't remember what it was, but like part of the.
Let me see if I can
his family
find it.
was
I
in
am
reality,
IMDb.
but he was in the fiction, and he mentioned something about, well, like, you see something happen in a film, and you see things happen in real life, so it's like just as real because you're seeing, or something like that.
Yeah. It's not on IMDb. That's unfortunate.
I feel like that was a big part for the commentary part aspect.
Yeah. It was definitely a kind of. It was kind of explaining the movie without holding your hand and explaining the movie.
Yeah, honestly, it was just like more like it was like philosophical, like.
Yeah, I wonder if it's on the.
It's just like.
Because I'm on the. Maybe if I go to the American version, it will be on there. Because those all said subtitled version. Nope, that's Goofs, not quote.
That honestly was the one thing. Despite all the fourth wall breaks, that was the one thing that kind of threw me off for a second. Like, not even the remote thing threw me off. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But that the ending dialogue there between those two was kind of like, okay.
Wait, what?
You can.
I was like, wait.
You can see it. Okay, I think I found it.
Like
you can see it in the movie, right?
Did I miss a page?
You can see it in the movie, right? Of course. Well, then she's as real as reality because you can see it too, right? Bullcrap. Why?
And that's from the English. version?
Yeah, that's the English version.
Yeah, I think it was worded a little bit differently, but it.
I think it
basically
was
yeah.
too. Yeah, it was essentially that.
Yeah.
You can see it in the movie, right? Of course. Well, then she's as real as reality. Which, that goes back to the commentary of action scenes and violence.
Yeah.
Like, if you see it in a movie, you're seeing it in real life. It's the
just
same
said
thing.
Yeah.
I just said that film is thespian. Okay, I already went over that. You're just repeating what I was saying.
Well, maybe I heard you and didn't process that I heard you and just repeated
this
what
is
you
actually
said
just
without.
a commentary on podcasts, because a lot of people, you have so many people on podcasts. A lot of
You can cut that out, William, and just make sure that Ian gets all the credit for that.
it's just I was trying.
Or
to
you could cut Ian's out and make sure I get all the credit.
I'm probably just
trying to do
gonna
it
cut
bad.
Ian out completely, and this whole
I was
video
trying
is
to do
just
it
gonna be
that
the
kind of reference the film, but the film kind of ruined it. I was just gonna say how this is kind of like commentary on podcasts.
look murder.
Is commentary on like podcasts and stuff. How there's multiple people and a lot of them kind of bring up the same points and repeat
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
I was doing a joke. That was a reference to the film.
Yeah. So I just found the thing on IMDb about what I was going to bring up about the American version. So it says that originally Haneke wanted to film this in the United States with an American cast and crew because the film was meant to be a commentary on the sensationalism and desensitization of violence in American media. Because of, budget constraints and whatnot. He just couldn't do it. So I think that's the reason that he wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
Because it's that the point of the movie is more directed at American cinema than anything else. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand why he wanted to make the same movie again, but try to get American audiences to watch it.
Yeah. But I don't know how well it worked
didn't appreciate it
because a lot of people just saw it as, oh, he made the same movie.
Yeah. So. It does have, what's his name in it, who I like a lot.
Tim Roth.
Tim Roth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one reason why.
He is an amazing actor. I really want to watch the American one.
Yeah, just for that.
As well. Yep.
It has me interesting on how it has my interest on how like Tim Roth will handle that long shot, especially.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to how he will handle a lot of that stuff.
That's
Amazing
something that I find really interesting as an actor. Watching different actors take the same thing and seeing what they do with it.
Yeah.
That's one reason why I like watching the first two pilots of the British Office and then the American Office, because they're practically the same. It's just different actors taking almost the same dialogue and seeing what those two, how they take that dialogue and change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I not just want to see Tim Roth. I mean, that's a huge part of it, but I want to see how what Peter and Paul are like in the American version.
Yeah.
I want to see if they can
I like Arno Frisch so much though. Like I don't think anybody's gonna compare it to him for me.
Probably
I
not.
Love his performance.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that it. But I still would. I'm really interested to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of I think it was in maybe when Horrible Reviews was talking about it, he showed a clip of the American one, Fourth Wall Break, when they're on the couch, and he's like, "What do you think they should do?" and stuff. And when I saw it,
Mm.
and then, and especially now, I kind of felt like it just felt out of place.
Mm.
It just felt weird.
Hmm.
And now that I've seen the original film, it feels still feels weird, just from my memory of this clip.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen
I don't have a lot of I don't think I've seen as much stuff about the remake as I did about the original, because really the only picture from the remake that I can imagine in my mind is them all sitting on the couch with Tim Roth there.
Mm. Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about, Ian. I think the video, whatever Horrible Reviews talked about it, I'm pretty sure that's probably the only thing that I've seen from the
Yeah,
remake too.
because I know when he was talking about it, he was talking about both of them for a bit.
Yeah.
'Cause he went into the original, and then he mentioned, "Hey, there's a remake too," and blah blah blah. And he showed some clips of it.
Yeah. Horrible Reviews is a Dutch YouTuber. Does a lot of horror movies and stuff. I enjoy him. He's got.
I thought you meant some. I thought you meant some guy on YouTube just did horrible reviews.
No, that's actually his name. Horrible Reviews. He has like his most popular thing is the most disturbing movies ever. He's got like so many parts of that, and then
Yeah,
he did a video series
he
on the video
started
nasties
with
and
just a
stuff
list, like he
top
just
10.
Google searched
Yeah.
most disturbing films, and then a lot of people started recommending
Yes.
disturbing films. So then he kept going. But it starts off with the actual list
Yeah.
of disturbing films.
But yeah.
But yeah, Funny Game's definitely on there.
Yeah. So
That's
we
where I
have
first
shouted
heard
out
of
two
it.
YouTubers in this video.
Yes.
So go follow YMS and go follow Horrible Reviews.
And go follow the Metal Gladiator.
Don't follow the Metal Gladiator.
Don't follow Vilcamps 93. No, you're
And
not
how are they
93.
going to be
You're
watching this?
on Twitch. You're just Vilcamps on YouTube.
Yeah. So.
Follow Thespian and Film.
Don't follow Thespian Film because I don't know who that is.
Film and Thespian.
There you go.
Okay, now we're getting to the point of the podcast where we thank our sponsors. This video is sponsored by YMS. No, just kidding.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, I just found something that I thought was really interesting.
Oh yeah.
Benny's video was Arno Frisch's very first film.
Yep. I think honestly for this one for Funny Games, I'm pretty sure he said in the interview on the Criterion that when he got the offer from Hanukkah, he had like literally just finished high school and was like planning to like study music.
Oh wow.
So yeah, he's a teenager
Because funny,
in Benny's video.
in Funny Games he was Funny Games was his second film. So that's
Yeah, he's not done much, honestly.
5 years. No, he hasn't done a lot. He has 37 credits.
Yeah, I think he did some TV and stuff, but yeah. And of all the main adults in the film, like he's the only one still alive. He's the only one that didn't die at some point in the film too.
Yep.
This movie is cursed.
Yeah.
No.
Some people have said that.
Yeah.
It's like you have a movie with 4 main adult actors and only one is still alive right now.
There's a lot of discussions about sort of movies being cursed and stuff.
Yeah. Which Ulrich, the father there, he was going to be in Hanukkah's movie The White Ribbon, and he died like from cancer, I think, just before he was able to do that. And his wife there, she was going to be in it too, and she was in it. But Hanukkah talked about her being in such like a frail state during that, and then I think a few years later she killed herself.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I don't
Yeah,
know
she
what
died
happened.
in. She died in 2012. She was only 51.
Yeah, I think he died in like 2007. Or, I think
Damn.
And then I don't know what happened to the guy who played Peter, but I know he was young, like in his 40s. So.
He never made it to his 40s. He was 38.
Oh, 38.
Yeah. He died 2 years before Suzanne, 2010.
Gotcha. Yeah, Hanukkah had said in the interview that he was like in his 40s, so that's why I thought that. But Hanukkah is like 90 something, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
You're close to it.
he's up there. I definitely want to watch like all of his films now.
Yeah, I do too. I definitely want to watch more of his stuff.
Because I've
I've
only
been
seen
interested in his
a
stuff
few.
for a while anyway.
I've seen Benny's video, Funny Games, a lot. Like, I've watched Funny Games like 4 or 5 times with subtitles and twice without subtitles. And then I've also seen The Piano Teacher, because that got a Criterion release as well. And I have White Ribbon and I have Amour, but I haven't watched those yet. And I've heard those are like really fantastic as well. So I need to check those out.
I know Amour was like number 1 on whichever year that came out on YMS list.
Yeah, top list, yeah.
I remember that being
2012.
number 1. Yeah. 2012.
Mikhail Hanukkah was born in 42?
42.
So that makes him... Oh my goodness. 80. He'll be 80.
80?
Right? Because it'll be 20 years before he's 100.
Okay, yeah, he's 80. Okay, I was thinking he was older than that. I was thinking he was like 90. I was 10 years off. Okay.
He's still old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, you see him now with his beard and everything, and then you see pictures and stuff of him when this came out in 97, and, like, he looks the same with less wrinkles. Like, he's still got the same beard and hair, like, you know, gray. Like, he was old when this came out. And that was 20-some years ago.
Yeah.
But cinematography. I mentioned there was a shot that was like technically difficult. I'd have to go back just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna say like 90% sure that this was a one take. From the moment it's looking outside, but like from in the house, and she's trying to get Paul and Peter to leave. And so there's 3 characters, and then the dad comes, and then the kid comes, and now there's 5 characters in shot. And they come inside, and she goes over here, and then she's over here, and then she's going up the stairs. So there's people walking around each other and in front of each other, and the camera, I'm pretty sure the camera doesn't cut until they grab the golf club to hit him.
I think you're right.
So like it's like a technically difficult shot because it's a pretty confined space, and there's like 5 people and they're moving around and the camera's going back and forth a little bit. Obviously, it doesn't do anything crazy. It's not like twirling around them or anything like that. It's still like simply shot, but like it's nice.
Yeah,
It's nice.
well done.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like too the way talking about how not a lot of violence is actually shown in the film. In that scene, right after he grabs the golf club, you see the shot of the dad, and you see the golf club swing in the mirror. And that's all you see. You just see it for a second swing in the mirror, and then like he goes down injured, and I don't know. It's just a really nice,
Yeah.
cinematic moment, like shot that just works. You can just like, even though you barely see what's happening, you can just feel what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I caught that the first time. I'm thinking about it now.
I didn't realize it was in a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if that
They haven't
when you
basically
just
stopped.
see it for a second like this, and
Yeah.
literally you're just seeing the club in the mirror behind him, like the
Yeah,
shots
I
of
thought he
him,
got hit in the
looks,
head at
you just
first.
see it in the mirror, and then all of a sudden he's going down, and like he's been hit, and like he's got like a broken leg.
Because I saw it in the mirror, but I didn't think it was in the mirror. I thought it was next to him, and I thought he got hit in the head. And then he was like, "Oh, my leg," and I was like,
Yeah.
"What?" But that makes more sense.
Yeah.
My leg.
Yeah. And man, those scenes where like he can't move because his leg's broken and his arm's been like stabbed or whatever, and she's just like
Yeah,
carrying him to walk.
Yeah.
it's like they're not getting anywhere. They're not
like-
going anywhere.
I was like, man, that's a rough
Oh,
shoot right there.
oh my goodness. The scene that I think sank my heart the most was when the dad is trying to get the phone to work, and then you just hear thunk, 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 and then you see the golf ball roll into shot. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
So good.
That was
So good.
so good. Oh, and when she's like running away trying to get help, she sees a car coming and she could have waved him down, but she stops and thinks, "Oh, hold on. This might be them." So she hides, realizes it's not them,
Yeah.
and then tries to call him down. And then another car comes up and is like, "Well, the last one wasn't them, so this one might not be either. This probably won't be them either. Maybe they are actually gone." And then it cuts to the golf ball, and you're like, "Oh, well, crap."
Yeah, it was them.
Or
I love that.
Yeah. Right after you got the 10-minute long shot of them grieving, right?
hmm
But like for the most part, they've just kind of been silent. They haven't really been looking at it. They haven't been like bawling their eyes out the whole time or anything like that. But like that shot, they get out. I can't remember. She goes down the hallway for something and then like comes back and she just like stops like that and then like closes the door to the living room and then like turns around and just pukes.
Yeah,
It was like, ugh.
and that's like that's right after the that long like 10-minute scene of them just
Mhm.
sitting over the their child's body.
Yeah, and so it's like they get out of there, away from it, and then like you can tell she just catches a glimpse back in.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no. Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Terrible, but so good.
Yeah.
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 Everything in the movie felt intentional.
Yeah.
All the small details and everything. And that's one reason why I love it so much.
And that's one reason why that one scene I had to try and find some sort of explanation to explain it, because I was like, there's no way that everything feels intentional, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like, characters start making stupid decision, like the kid isn't hiding, and the guy just knows where the kid is. That's why I had to search for some sort of explanation, because everything felt intentional. And then just to be lazy like that, and just in the middle of the movie for one little scene, I was like, there's something that I'm missing.
Yeah.
And that was the best explanation I could find, was if it's on screen, he knows that where it is. Or maybe it was something like you said, where that kid took so long trying to climb the fence that maybe he did see him and saw where he went.
Yeah. I like your thought, though, about anything that happens on screen he would know. Like, it's a good thought.
I do.
To go back to the remote thing, this is something that I did mean to mention earlier when we were talking about it. That makes me wonder how much of the film had gone wrong, according to, like, from their perspective. Like, how many times they had escaped, or how many times... Oh, that could be it. He did escape, so he used the remote to rewind to figure out where he was going. Catch up to him.
Yeah.
Because, like, if he did it that one time, how many other times had he done it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I do want to say, so I don't know if this is true for you guys. I feel like it is, but I have kind of like a list of movies I wish I could go back in time and see in the cinema for the first time. Like,
Yes.
opening night and everything.
Mm.
This is definitely on that list now.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see this film.
To everybody being all like, "Woo!" for the backyard diary.
You'd have to learn German, though,
of just going back.
because I doubt they had English subtitles in the theater.
I don't know.
But even seeing
so
the
cool.
Because I know it
even
premiered at, or I mean, it had a, during its premiere run, it played at Cannes, and I know
It did.
like because their press thing for Cannes is on the Criterion, and they have English and French translations going on for their like talk about like their booth. You know how they set up like the press things where they're all sitting. So they had English and French translations going on for that. So
Well,
I don't know.
I could maybe, if we were able to go back in time, we could go see the Cannes one, but maybe not the official premiere.
Yeah.
I'd still watch it. I mean, obviously, it would be. It would just. I mean, if we were in that situation, we go back in time. We obviously have seen the movie before.
Yeah,
I've watched it twice without subtitles anyway.
We just want to see everybody's reaction to it. Like Empire Strikes Back, I want to hear the audience reaction to Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But that's why this movie's on that list for me.
Cannes Film Festival was the premiere. It was the first showing.
Oh, well, never mind then.
May 14th, 1997. It didn't premiere in Germany until September 97.
Oh, wow.
And then it was showed in the U.S. at Chicago International Film Festival in October 97. So, I don't know. Maybe
I was alive then. I was 1 year old.
I was.
So I could have gone and seen it in theaters. Wouldn't remember a thing about it.
I was 4 years old. I was 4 years old.
I was 3, but now I'm up.
Oh god.
Now, if I were to actually do a video critique of this, it would be a lot different. But at the same time, I probably won't do that. If I were to ever do a video series on YouTube of a critique of something, I'd have to feel very passionate about it. because that's just not really my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
So
like to analyze movies and stuff, but I also wouldn't say that I am a professional of any sort.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it, and I feel like I've definitely gotten better at it over the years, but I still wouldn't put myself that high.
Yeah. Same here. But I think the more that we do stuff like this too, like just talking about it, the more like we see. And
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
it's the internet. We don't gotta be professionals. We get to make
True.
what we want to make, and when we want to talk about movies, we gonna talk about movies.
We're gonna
Yeah.
talk about movies.
And there's almost nothing I enjoy more than talking about movies.
Yep.
When I see a good movie, I have to go tell someone to go watch it so I can talk about it with them.
Yeah.
Ian, you want to start with your summary and rating, and then Nathaniel can go next.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Funny Games. This is a fantastic film. Love it. Only seen it once, so it's gonna be one of those movies that I'm gonna appreciate even more every time I watch it, for sure. I just got that gut feeling about this film. I love the stylistic choice of no music, because despite myself being more of a music person than films, I appreciate the separation of it. Like you could have a amazing film that is driven by so much emotion, but you don't need to have sad violin music playing just to feel that emotion. You know the actors did a good job when you're not relying when the audience feels what they feel and it's not reliant on music. That you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was like, I got this. I'm being really good. This is like a non-scripted, like on the spot kind of improv, and then I just messed it up. So
It's just gone.
it's just really bad because then I started to feel like I felt like I started to get a little too repetitive. Anyway, I love the theme song. It's awesome. Honestly, even the theme song didn't really throw me off. The only thing that threw me off was that ending dialogue. That's odd. But yeah, great movie. I'd honestly have to say that Paul is one of my favorite movie villains now. for for real.
Yeah.
Definitely not Thanos. But yeah, I definitely given this film a 10 out of 10. For no doubt in my mind, 10 out of 10.
Nathaniel.
Best being in the film.
I agree with pretty much everything Ian said. This movie is fantastic, very masterfully made. It is one of those movies that you could analyze for hours, and you could learn a lot just from watching this movie on how to make a really well paced movie. So and writing, the writing is so tight and perfect. 10 out of 10 for me as well. It's all around just a fantastic film.
Yes, I agree with everything these two just said. Yeah, obviously I love it. Like I said, I've watched it 4 to 5 times with subtitles and twice without subtitles.
I
Just
definitely want to
because,
go back and rewatch it.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely. It just it does like get better each time. You notice everything, and yeah, it doesn't get old. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love everything about it. It's in my mind a perfect film. I don't have any issues with it. any complaints. Like, it's also intentional and purposeful, and yeah, it makes me want to watch Mikhail Haneke's entire filmography, which I'm going to eventually. But yeah, 10 out of 10, 100%.
Cool. I think that's the first time that all of us have unanimously given a movie
10
the same rating.
School of Funny Games is 30. Total school 30.
30 out of 30.
30 out of 30. And now, if we had 4 people, it would be most likely a 40.
Yeah.
Depending on how many people we have on the podcast, it would basically just vary.
But yeah, that's going to do it for this film discussion. Thank you, whoever watches, tunes in. Be sure to subscribe to Film and Thespian and The Metal Gladiator. I will have their links up here on the end screen. And we'll have some links down in the description area too for whatever else we want to plug. So, until next time. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen.
I mean,
I am proud of. I'm so proud of
we're
myself.
gonna cut you
for
out of
doing
the whole
that.
video anyway. It's just gonna be me and Nathaniel talking, but
So every time I say something, there's just
it just cuts.
you two are just responding to nothing.
It just cuts every time you talk. To
He's not going to cut you out of the video. He's just going to cut out every time you talk out of the video.
You'll just be there the whole time, just not saying anything. I'll leave like the first little bit in when you start to talk, and then it'll cut, so people know you're about to say something.